Okay, hello everybody. What I'm going to do today is demonstrate to you a little follow-on from what, for most of you, if not all of you, was last week's lesson where you did some drawing work based upon this image here. So just hold that up a bit. Okay, so this is The Rebel by Walter Grammat, and this is an example of German Expressionist portraiture. And in last week's lesson, you looked at this and did a little bit of analysis, looking at this, and we talked a bit about the way in which the proportions of the face were adjusted and changed, right? So, you know, the eyes looked much bigger than they should do. The spaces and distances in the face were kind of either shortened or exaggerated. And so what you get is this kind of exaggerated expression on the face. And this is something that you find a lot in German Expressionist style work, where elements of reality are altered and exaggerated or changed. So you end up with these kind of twisted versions of reality. Here's another one. This time, this is by Konrad Felix Müller, and this is People Above the World. Just hold this up. Look at the hand of the figure, okay? See how it almost looks like the fingers are all broken. And the necks and the angles of the heads tilted backwards up, looking up towards the star in this really quite uncomfortable fashion. The bodies look almost contorted, right? Just have a look at that. So what we're going to do today is a little piece of work which is based upon this idea and taking it a little further. You're all going to be given, if you haven't already got it on your table in front of you, a photograph like this. Now, these are all portraits by a photographer called, well, a painter and photographer called Chuck Close. And most of these are famous sports people or movie stars or what have you. So the pictures they're kind of perfect, right? They're these images of sort of beauty and kind of Hollywood, kind of glamour, I guess. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to subvert it. How many of you have ever done that thing where you take a £5 note or a £10 note and you fold it up, kind of back and forth, and you end up with a kind of making the Queen look like, I don't know, Winston Churchill or something? Okay, ever done that before? Maybe you have, maybe not. Let me show you how it works, because we're going to do something similar with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a horizontal fold somewhere in my photocopy. Okay, it doesn't have to be exactly horizontal. I'm going to fold across the head like this, and I'm going to make that fold really, really crisp, like so. Okay, so I'm going to use my fingernails there to get that really, really sharp. Then I'm going to fold that back, like so. I'm going to fold it really quite close, like that. So what I'm doing is I'm collapsing this guy's head slightly, transforming it like this. Now, once again, that fold there is really crisp, really kind of precise. It's like when you're making origami and you've got to get your folds really sort of dot on. So already I've started to change the proportions of this guy's face. Next, I think I'm going to do something to do with his chin, I think, here. So I'm going to fold across here and across here. And this time I'm going to go this way, so it's almost like his head's going to start to tilt over to the side. Right, and again I'm sort of, changing the expression. And next I think I'll try this. So I'm going to come across at a funny angle this time, just underneath one of the eyes. Now, when you're doing this, I recommend that you don't fold straight through the middle of an eye. Okay, you could try it and see, I suppose, but you've got to be very, very careful with that, because you could end up with your portrait literally losing an eye. I'm going to go back across that way. Yeah, like this. Okay, I'm going to fold all of that really, really flat, so my paper's lying as flat as it can possibly go. Okay, so yeah, the more folds you put in, the more difficult it gets to keep those folds flat. Okay, so the idea is not to go too far, but I'm pretty pleased with what I've got here. Comparing this with the original one, okay, so here's our handsome Hollywood kind of guy here, all right, and then here's my kind of less generous, less beautiful transformation of him. Okay, so now we've got this thing. He looks kind of, I don't know, sinister somehow. I'm not quite sure, but his face is kind of pushed over to the side. It's fragmented. This is the kind of thing we're looking for. Depending on how you fold the face, you'll get different effects. So this looks quite menacing. Here's another one with the same one. This one looks almost kind of forlorn, I think, in my opinion. All right. So you can, you know, think carefully about what you're trying to achieve, or just sort of play and see what you discover along the way. Now, when you've got to the point where your image is folding nice and flat, you need to get your tracing paper. Now, what we're going to do now is transform our photograph into a drawing. So, laying our tracing paper over the top here, I'm going to start to trace through and turn this into a drawing by tracing through the photo or the tracing paper like this. Now, you can't see every little bit of detail. Okay, so what you want to do initially is to just trace the bits that you can see, but you've got to keep that tracing paper still as you are doing it. So that you don't move it by mistake. Because what we're looking for is a kind of pretty faithful recreation of the image that you've created by folding the thing over. So there's a little bit of shading there. Now, I don't know whether you can see this, but I'm not drawing the outlines to everything straight away. What I'm doing is I'm looking for where there is shadow and highlight, that type of thing. Okay, and I'm literally, with my pencil, shading in those bits where it seems that there is a dark line or a dark area. So I'm definitely not just drawing all the outlines of my face. Okay, be much more careful in that. Just zoom that up close so you can see how that's going. Gives you an idea. All right, now this process, if you do this properly, this will take you a while. Okay, so you mustn't rush this process. Okay, the process of looking and studying this thing carefully is really, really important for an effective result. Okay, so don't be in a massive hurry, keep the pencil sharp. Okay, and we can go down and we can shade in his clothes as well. Okay, the whole thing. But you can see how important it is to have the photocopy folded flat. Okay, so the portrait's got to be folded pretty flat, otherwise this bit is really difficult. So I'm just going to finish this off, and then I'm going to show you the last stage. Okay, so here's my finished drawing. As you can see, if I line that up as carefully as possible. Okay, so I've really tried to trace that carefully. Okay, but I've been looking for any marks and lines that I can actually see, any bits of shadow that I can actually see in the photograph underneath. Okay, so I'm not trying to turn it into a cartoon. Okay, I have really tried to kind of recreate it as faithfully as I can. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so that now is ready for the next stage. So we're going to keep this and put that inside our sketchbooks. We're going to take this, take our next page in our sketchbook, okay, our next clean page, take your tracing paper, and we are going to flip that tracing paper upside down like so, okay? So we're going to flip it back to front. Then you need to take a pen from your pencil case. Now, I'm going to use this marker pen here. It can be any kind of pen. What we're going to use is we're going to use the end of it here. And the function of this is going to be to press down really, really hard on top of our drawing, on top of the back of our drawing. Okay, so I'm not going to take the lid off the pen and draw with it like this. We're just going to use the side of the pen, if you like, to kind of press down and get lots and lots of pressure and force through the tip of the pen as we press down on top of our drawing. So I'm going to hold it really still, like this, and start to press away. Okay, now it's very important that the tracing paper stays still while I'm doing this. Okay, got to keep that absolutely still. So I'm pressing down quite hard with this hand to keep everything in place so it doesn't move. It does move, it's not the end of the world, okay, but you do have to line the tracing paper back up very, very carefully with where it was originally. Now then, if you're doing this properly, as I hope I am, if you just pause halfway through and lift back, you should see that the drawing is starting to transfer onto your sketchbook page. And you can spot and see if you've missed a bit. So just up here I can see I've missed a little bit, so I need to just put that back very carefully, go back to that, and go back over that spot again. Okay, and slowly, slowly, slowly that image is transferring across. And vary the direction of your pen. I can't stress enough how important it is to press really hard. The other reason for using the side of the pen is that we don't want to rip our tracing paper. So if you're using the end of the pen and pressing, you can end up tearing the paper because you're pressing so hard. So use the side, and provided there's no sharp bits on your pen, you shouldn't have a problem. Okay, I'm going to take time on all those little detailed bits. Yeah. Okay, and then, with a bit of luck, what you'll be left with are two versions of your drawing. Okay, there's the one on tracing paper, which we're also going to keep, and then our kind of transferred version over here. One final point that I didn't make before I started demonstrating, the pencil that I used to do this transfer here is a 4B pencil. Now if you don't have a 4B, okay, there it is. Okay, if you don't have that, then you will need to borrow one today and make sure you wash it carefully at the end and hand it back. But that's very important. Soft lead in the pencil is essential for the transfer thing. So there we go. Those three stages again. Folded up, distorted, twisted Hollywood kind of person. Tracing of that onto tracing paper with 4B pencil and then transferred into your sketchbook as I demonstrated. Okay, and those are the three stages that we're looking for. Get through as much of that as you possibly can today, and we'll see how you get on. So good luck, enjoy, let's subvert reality, okay? Let's turn the beautiful into something much, much more interesting. Off you go.